What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jackson. The jacket has made its return. Power's here. And today we are doing part 3 to what I think about the quarterbacks coming out in this upcoming NFL draft. Now, if you guys didn't know already, since the Colts are drafting a quarterback most likely, I've been doing videos basically talking about what I think about that quarterback and the negatives and the pros of what it would be to draft that quarterback. So far, I've done Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. So go check those videos out if you haven't seen them already before you watch this one, just to get like a better understanding of how I do this. But today's episode, I guess is what you could call it, is what I actually think about CJ Stroud. Now, as many of you guys know, I was very high on CJ Stroud after the college football playoff game against Georgia when he had the game of his life. I've been saying stink for Stroud since before last season even ended. So I do very much like CJ Stroud. I think he could be a great quarterback in the NFL. He is obviously the Colts' dream pick, but that's obvious. Let's get into some of the positives of CJ Stroud. Now, I think the number one quality that CJ Stroud possesses is his ability to perform in big games. Now, I know there's going to be someone in the comments like, he played bad against Michigan. But that's Michigan. Michigan's been great for the last couple years. I'm talking about the bowl games, like Rose Bowl last year. He had a great game when Jackson Smith and Jigba had over 300 yards in receiving. CJ Stroud had a big game as well. I mean, clearly, if your receiver has that many yards, your quarterback's going to have a big game too. But he had a very big game against Utah, and they ended up winning the Rose Bowl. And then this past year in the college football playoff on New Year's Eve against Georgia, CJ Stroud put in one of the all-time performances. He played one of the best games of his life. He played great against a Georgia defense that is a great defense and is probably the closest thing you're going to get to an NFL defense in college. And he diced them up. Marvin Harrison had a couple touchdowns, and CJ Stroud played great. He made all the right decisions. He kept plays alive, and any questions I had about Stroud went away in that game. He put his team in position to win at the end, but their kicker shanked the field goal, and they just ended up coming up just short. But they lost by 1 point against the defending national champions and the team that ended up going on to win the national championship. So it's the craziest what if. Like, if Ohio State makes that field goal, they win the national championship, because I don't see any way that TCU would have beat them. I mean, you saw how they played against Georgia. I assume Ohio State probably would have had a similar performance to Georgia in that game. But with that being said, I think that CJ Stroud can play very well in the big games. He has had 2 of his best games in big-time bowl games and New Year's Six bowls. So I think that he can play very well in big games. And also, when he is in a clean pocket, his accuracy is just insane. From a clean pocket, he is one of the best quarterbacks in this draft. He is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in this draft. He's making NFL-level throws in college. He's throwing a lot of his receivers open, and he's just doing a lot of good things. And any questions I had about his footwork or anything like that, or his ability to handle pressure, went away during that game against Georgia, because he handled pressure pretty well. He evaded it multiple times and scrambled and either ran or made a throw downfield. So I think that CJ Stroud he's very good under pressure. He is very good in the big games, and he is very good from a clean pocket. And if he goes to an NFL team like the Indianapolis Colts, I feel like he's going to do very well, because he can build around his strengths, and that's what Shane Steichen's going to do. And his strength is a clean pocket and, just making plays himself. So that's a lot of the positives about CJ Stroud, and I think that his positives are exponentially higher than his negatives. But speaking of his negatives, we're going to get into those. Now, of course, CJ Stroud has some negatives to his game, and I think the biggest one is his inability to call plays on his own, which he's not going to be really asked to do in the NFL, but I just don't know how much I would trust him in a 2-minute offense right away, because in college, CJ Stroud often looked to the sideline for his play call, and that's a little concerning, which in the NFL, I mean, it's going to be in the helmet, it's the same thing, but there's going to be times he's going to have to make a play call on his own, especially if like the headset is broken or if no one on the sideline gives him a play call, because they don't really do that in the NFL, because then that's just an easy way for teams to figure out what another team is calling. So it's going to come through the helmet, and if that gets broken, that's going to be an issue for Stroud. He's just not used to doing that. Like, it's definitely a skill he can gain for sure, but I don't know. I just don't know how much I trust him in the no huddle, especially a lot of those times. No huddle, the quarterback kind of calls that himself sometimes, and I don't see CJ Stroud being able to do that, because he's going to have to get the play from his helmet and then relay it to everyone. When you're in a no huddle offense and your quarterback can just call a play on his own, that's going to really help a lot. And Stroud, I don't know if he can do that. Like I said, that's something that can definitely be coached into him, but as of right now, he can't do that, and that's a little concerning. But other than that, I really don't see many negatives. Like I said in the previous clip, his footwork, but all those concerns went away in the college football playoff game. So we'll see what happens, but I think that is the biggest negative out of him, and the fact that he had a very good team at Ohio State. But, I mean, other than that, I really don't see many negatives with CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud has the potential to be the best quarterback in this class, and you guys know how I feel about that. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say. I think CJ Stroud, at the end of the day, would be a very good quarterback, and now I don't think he's going to fall to 4 to the Indianapolis Colts. I'm, crossing my fingers and hoping that he does, but he's just probably not going to, because that's just no way that happens. I think he's going number 1 to Carolina, personally. I know a lot of people are saying that Carolina's going Bryce Young, but I think they're going CJ Stroud just because of how they handled their situation at his pro day. But also, Bryce Young did cancel the rest of his top 30 visits with other NFL teams after Carolina, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. This is one of the first years that the NFL draft has not had a standout, conclusive, obvious number 1 pick in a little bit. Last year was like that too, but usually when it's a quarterback heavy draft and the first pick is a quarterback, you know who it's going to be. Like 2020, we knew that was going to be Joe Burrow. 2021, we knew that was going to be Trevor Lawrence. We really don't know who it's going to be this year. I think the favorite for that is Bryce Young, but you never know. The Panthers seem really high on CJ Stroud, and they maybe Anthony Richardson too. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's basically it. The next episode is going to be Bryce Young, which I know the Colts probably aren't getting him, but I still do want to make an episode just in case he were to fall to us and how I would feel about that. But my verdict on CJ Stroud is I think that he would be a very good quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, and if he falls to us at number 4, we have to take him. And if, especially with the news that the Texans might not take a quarterback, don't be surprised if the Colts trade up to 3 to ensure they get who they want. Because if the Texans don't take a quarterback and Bryce Young goes number 1, like CJ Stroud's going to be there for the Colts, and I think the Colts move up to 3 and secure CJ Stroud. So, yeah, that's just hypothetical, though. I think the Texans will end up taking either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, but I just wanted to give my verdict. Like I said, next episode is going to be Bryce Young, so stay tuned for that. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys liked it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications, and for everything in the description box. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.